Welcome back, everybody, to another Sunday episode of The Voice of Reason. We are your hosts. My name is Jeremy Baker. With me, as always, is Mike Falino. How you doing today, Mike?
All right. I'm not on my top game. A little tired, but I am ready to talk about some nonsense. How are you?
Oh, that's good. I'm good. My video looks like it's a little choppy, so hopefully that clears up here in the near future. But yeah, so we got a lot to talk about this week. And let's see, what do we want to start with? I guess before we get into the topics, I caught this today, and this blew my mind. It really bothers me to I don't know. I'll show it to you.
Yeah,
So
just
a lot of you guys know we talk about Moms for Liberty, and we interviewed the founder of the group fighting against them, Stop Moms for Liberty. And just to show you like how ridiculous this fascism is gotten in this country, is they received an award from on Fox Nation for most valuable patriot of 2023. And this really just, yeah, they have awards now, I guess, for fascism. I didn't know that was a thing.
What they're doing is they're building up a fake portfolio of bullshit that they can use when they bring people on to be like, oh, let's interview you on the channel who also gave you the award. And it's a meaningless award. You're just inventing it because the most important patriot isn't like a thing.
So no, not at all. So
also, one might argue Joe Biden should win that from all the fact that all the financial institutions are looking positive. We're getting jobs back, but hey, that's just me.
Yeah, no worries. So give me a second. I'm gonna hop off the studio for 1 second. Let me see if I can fix this camera problem. Why don't you introduce our guest, our contributor that is on for tonight?
Our guest has someone who has been on with us before, and as Jeremy said, we are very proud to now call a contributor because she is, as she said, in it for the long haul. So I'd like to welcome back Tammy Moyer. Oh, wait, what?
Oh, I got it.
I'm here.
Sorry, I got it.
And I'm back on the show again, too.
Our tech department might be on drugs. I'm not sure.
Nah.
Possibility.
So yeah, it's hard to say.
So how you doing, Tammy?
I'm doing all right. Getting dark too early and not loving that seasonally, but getting through.
I hate it so much. I hate it.
No, I know I'm not digging this cold weather. I'm in Pennsylvania, so
yeah.
I'm not ready for it. Hopefully it just is a mild winter this year. I'm not ready to shovel snow.
At the same time, I haven't seen snow in Maryland beyond like the tiniest of dusting in 3 years when we used to have significant snowfalls pretty much consistently. I wonder what changed.
Yeah, you got blizzards like we did on Long Island and Pennsylvania gets every Tuesday. So like, yeah.
Right. Yeah,
but
exactly.
We could do a show on that, but no one will believe it. Anyway, okay.
So yeah, we got a really good show lined up for you guys today. It is more of the same, unfortunately, and actually, I think it's actually gotten a little bit worse. But for fun, to start the show off properly, let me play a new ad from the Meidas Touch Network that I think is just absolutely
like
perfect.
We laugh, but it's so scary. Just
it's not even a question anymore between right and left. It is normal versus crazy.
Do it, baby. I love you so much. Magic. And it's bad news. Bad things are happening.
What am I looking at?
Normal versus crazy.
I would like the members to be instructed to not introduce any pornography today.
Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, she and her companion explicitly groping each other repeatedly while they were in their seats.
Normal versus crazy.
You stand your butt up.
You stand your butt up.
You're a United States Senator.
What happened to
Bernie.
Kevin McCarthy?
I got elbowed in the back, and it kind of caught me off guard because it was a clean shot to the kidneys.
It's normal versus crazy.
There is substantial evidence that Santos violated federal law.
Well, I posted them on my Twitter account.
You look like a smurf.
It is normal versus crazy.
I want my Republican colleagues to give me one thing that I can go campaign on and say we did.
Deranged. He's not into golden showers, as they say they call them.
Wow. So yeah, we will get into more of that because that's actually on the topic list. Donald Trump.
That's actually our news. Like that is literally that's a 12-hour news cycle.
How is that political news? I don't understand how this is actually political news. It does not make any sense to me whatsoever.
I miss George Bush.
It is. I don't know. I miss when Republicans were semi-normal people. You know what I mean? They were still corrupt corporate assholes, but at least
but like they were like the cozy corrupt. You know, they were just skimming off our entire wages and keeping us as economic slaves. That was like, okay, we got that. This is just freaking nuts.
They were normal enough. I could be brainwashed into thinking they were great and voting for them back when I was still brainwashed and
voting for them.
Hating myself.
And voting for them.
Well, yes.
And I do have to give a shout out to the Meidas Touch Network on that one because they do fantastic work. Obviously, we get a lot of material from them.
They don't pull the punches.
We love the reporting, and but yeah, it gets worse. That's just the beginning of the show. Just like a highlight reel. So the first topic of discussion is this Mike Johnson again. We just can't get away from this guy. He went from being an absolute unknown to skyrocketed to the Speaker of the House. Obviously a Project 2025 plant as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, he's a plant.
Before I show the video, let me just show this overlay. This is him and his, I guess, one of his youngest or his youngest son.
This was the other day.
At Mar-a-Lago, kissing the ring, bending his knee to, the Supreme Leader Donald Trump.
Saying he's just now kissing the ring is ignoring the fact that he's been completely bent over and servicing Trump for quite a amount of time.
That's true.
Yeah. And here's the thing. People don't really talk about this much, but he was instrumental in the overturning of Roe v. Wade. He was the head of one of the groups that was instrumental in getting that done.
And now you know why he's the Speaker of the House.
He's a lawyer.
Right.
And he wrote the legal suggestions for how to overturn the election, too. Thank goodness the rest of the courts didn't seem to agree with his principles that he invented out of nowhere.
He actually wrote it. He put it to paper because he believes it. He is one of, sorry, everyone, I don't mean to offend you, but if you don't want to hear the truth, turn away. Christo-fascists that are trying to take over this country. I know we talk about it all the time. Jeremy's pet obsession is Project 2025 because it's driving him freaking insane.
It really is.
I have pretty much never been a big fan of the push to make this country a Christian fascist republic, but let's just say they have someone in a very strategic, powerful place right now.
Yeah, they really do, and it's scary. So they were. We have this. Let me pull this up here. They were apparently, you want to call it a mock book burn, or they were burning cardboard boxes with a flamethrower. But let me show you how similar that looks to, 1940s Germany, 2020.
No. Actually, Jeremy, that one isn't the one that was recent. Was the fake one where they said it was boxes? That one.
Oh, wait a second. Those are actually.
No, though they were burning Harry Potter books because, as we know, the Dungeons and Dragons Monsters Manual is actual sorcery.
Okay, all right, I missed it. I apologize.
They're burning Harry Potter books. The irony of they're burning the books that were written by the woman who is completely supporting their viewpoints because she is an absolute turf bigot.
Oh my God! I didn't even put that together. Right. They would love her now.
They really should. They really should have loved her last year because she's been a bigot for a lot longer than.
And what they would do is what I wouldn't put ahead of them is that they would now go, oh, we were wrong. She's really talking about the good kind of sorcery, some bullshit, because that's all they do is spin everything. But that's a good point, Tammy. I did not even put that together. Thanks for making that thing just
people that believe in the Bible would believe in stuff like Harry Potter too. I mean, it's kind of along the same concept.
Believe in whatever you want to believe in, but
I mean, it's not going to burn it. Fandom, and a lot of people in the trans community really connected with the books, and they felt like it was something that they related to, and then now got to completely disavow it or acknowledge that you're providing a mouthpiece continued to a author who wants to see you dead. We're wandering far off topic, though.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. That happens. So, all right, let me go to the video that we have.
It's all connected. That's why.
Mr. Johnson from
could
it is
also be
MSNBC.
used to overturn cases establishing rights to contraception, same-sex consensual relations, and same-sex marriage. That's how the New York Times put it. It alarmed many Democrats and legal experts who said Clarence Thomas was laying the groundwork for more attacks on your individual rights. But it didn't alarm Mike Johnson. In fact, new audio reveals that
he's a piece of shit.
There's been some really bad law made. They've made a mess of our jurisprudence in this country for the last, several decades. And maybe some of that needs to be cleaned up. And what Justice Thomas is calling for is not radical. In fact, it's the opposite of that. We finally have a majority of originalists on the court.
That's not
one of the primary purposes of the law in civil government is to restrain evil. We have to acknowledge collectively that man is inherently evil and needs to be restrained. That's the problem with the radical left. They don't acknowledge a God.
Hold on. So this is a man who claims to be Christian, but yet believes that all men are still inherently evil when Christ was supposed to have died to have wiped that out.
Wait, if you're going to start using their scripture against them, we're going to have to schedule a whole series of shows, because you and I will do that all day. Trust me, I know.
I was deeply steeped in that bullshit, so I know exactly where the hypocrisy is. So, yeah.
Every left turn.
We're just going to go with that for right now and leave it there.
Well, but it's the extremism of the language itself. You have someone in Congress, maybe when he said that he wasn't, but obviously he has aspirations. But now you have someone who, as Jeremy said, is very close to the tippy top of controlling our country.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to make this like a true religion bashing, because if you believe things and those things don't inhibit other people's rights, believe whatever you want. But if you believe that people are inherent garbage, and he's going to equivocate, oh, I didn't mean garbage, I mean just filled with sin. So you mean they're garbage, right? Because you mean that if they don't go your way, they're going to hell. And what do you do with your trash? You throw it in the incinerator. So, but to have that person now trying to make policy is what scares me, and what I think is inherently wrong when someone takes their religion and shoves it down everyone's throat. So his language is very particular because he believes it and he wants everyone to deal with it.
He really does. He's saying stuff like the American people are depraved, we're godless.
Okay.
And this is on top of his already insane abortion policy. On top of GOP abortion policies, apparently Tommy Tuberville has been going around saying that he's against abortions in the 10th month, which I didn't know was a thing. Can somebody please call Mr. Tuberville and explain?
Please get standardized health curriculums in this country, because
he is like a poster child of
in our way that we teach anatomy and reproduction in this country than just the fact that men can't find a clit.
That's true. Well, Tommy Tuberville will tell you that that's why they were burning the books, because that's part of the sorcery. That's not real.
Oh, of course.
But my God, he's like serious. And to be fair, I can't think of a specific example, so it's going to be one of those moments where it seems like I'm just piling on. But I promise you, it's not. I have heard many people commenting, you see them all the time, and you hear people, and they just don't understand how babies are made and how they are born. And it's freaking terrifying. I get it that there was a time where men didn't know anything. The women kept it secret because the men were like, ew, I don't want to know, and ew. But like, get over your shit, learn about things so that you understand the world and you don't make decisions based on your freaking stupidity. Again, we have someone in Congress who does not understand the gestation period of a human being. And that person is going to make decisions, whether on female rights, women's rights, maybe even men's rights, because don't forget, these are people that think it's okay to rape and force women to have children. So who's going to say they're not going to change the laws someday to say, well, the man is really the provider, so they have the rights to the children? Trust me, in their worldview, the only thing that matters is the cis white Christian.
That's actually partially already there, because it is in at least one state, and I'm trying to remember which one it was that I read for that, but it was saying that the rapist, because they're the father, actually does have the ability to attempt to sue for custody.
There you go. So now Tommy Tuberville is one of those people that is clearly an absolute moron. And he's someone he's someone that a Mike Johnson looks at as a tool. Okay, you now have someone who Mike Johnson is an organized, intelligent, meticulous lawyer who will know how to recognize which stooges he can get to vote according to what he wants. And a guy who thinks that it takes 10 months to make a baby is one of those stooges.
He's a stooge, but he is not a person to be taken lightly either, because like he's already come out and said the true reason for doing all of the blocks for all of the appointments, and that's to hold them open for Trump. It's the same thing they did with the judiciary under Obama, including the Merrick Garland confirmations. Block it so that when they get the control, they can put their people in and assert total dominance.
And gee, what is that, Jeremy? Project 1E5.
Exactly. But I mean, this guy's holding up how many promotions in the military? Over 400 now, because he wants to know what the left, and he's like, I love how he says, well, nobody's even talking about what their policy is on abortions, after birth. It's because nobody does it, dude.
But that's called murder, you freaking moron. Well, but it's the same thing.
So
These
stupid.
people think that there are late-term abortions. If there is in any reason to terminate a pregnancy late term, it's because the pregnancy is no longer viable or the birth mother will die. Okay? That is like, I don't even think you can calculate. I mean, and I'm exaggerating, obviously, but the percentage is so low, but these people are hanging up on something that doesn't happen. So now they're holding up things and making excuses on how to govern or how not to govern based on the fact that women apparently take 10 months to give birth. Did you know elephants take a year? Ooh, or a year and a half? I mean, come on, guy.
It's so funny. All right, so
and completely
moving
ignoring
on.
the trauma and impact that it has on women's lives when they either miscarry or have to have an abortion because of other situations in their lives. I have more than a few people in my life who I've talked to about it, and it is trauma that stays with them for years. It is not a decision anyone makes lightly, ever.
Well, Republicans don't actually give a shit about anyone's trauma, especially women and children. But what's the next topic?
All right, next topic. We're going to talk about this town in Tennessee.
Oh, God.
Tennessee City. Go ahead and read that for me. Let me change my leg.
The Tennessee city abandons its ban on being gay in public. Now, just before this plan to abandon it, due to a lot of outcry, they basically had literally, and I'm not exaggerating, even though I tend to, they literally banned the expression of being homosexual in public. What?
Can I throw in what the effect was with the ban? Because I do want to make sure we're presenting it correctly.
Please.
What the punishment would be for this is the individuals who were found guilty of this act by whoever the heck got to make these decisions had the ability to ban them from being part of any public events for sponsorship or for being vendors at. So if you were somebody who's a local business person and ever sponsored a public event in the city or town or whatever size Murfreesboro is, and if you ever were trying to sell wares, like if you were a small-time private shop or something like that, those are places you no longer could go in your hometown. You'd be banned from being part of that just for being homosexual. And yes, they may have removed homosexuality from the list, but they left in very broad language like indecency, and then some very specific language like masturbation. And Lauren Boebert better hope she never shows up in their town because
do they have a theater there? Because she's such a theater lover. That's what it is. The theater moved her to grope and be groped in public, and I just hope that she doesn't go to Tennessee and, as a representative of the people, get in trouble with the laws there.
Yeah. So,
right.
All right. Let me pull this back up.
So they are still using what's left still on the books to with that indecency clause as the reason the town is moving forward with book bans. They have successfully banned 4 books using the indecency clause in that public policy. And that's exactly why the ACLU, who were the ones who filed the suit that made them back out the homosexuality part of the language, are continuing to pursue the lawsuit and will continue to pursue it as far up as they have to go.
You want a law? A law back.
Yeah, I just can't believe that this is something we're even talking about in 2023 America. It just
literally Nazi shit. That's it.
Yeah,
literally Nazi
baffling.
shit.
You can't believe they're doing things to harm the LGBTQ community, and that's only because you're not in it.
Yeah.
No, I mean just like so out in the open, like
like that's the problem.
More and more blatant anymore.
But you know what? Tammy makes a good point, and I'm gonna veer for literally 5 seconds. But
no, go for
part
it.
of the reason we're doing this show is to show everyone that is on the right side of history that you're not alone. That everyone that is thinking about what the hell is going on in this country has a valuable voice and something to say, and everyone should be able to look on the media. Because we know the mainstream media isn't showing representations of everyone at all.
No,
you're lucky to see 1 or 2 people that aren't a white guy. Okay, so we're just very committed to showing that there is something to learn from each other. You know, Tammy talks about, you know, you can't believe it's not happening. Obviously, we know it's happening, but to feel the impact is something that if you don't see it, if you don't experience the hatred and the bigotry, you're lucky if you can understand it and accept it and be like, wow, we got to stop this. But when you are confronted with it and look at someone's eyes and see how something has affected them, that is powerful. And I'm glad you brought that up, Tammy, because everything happens to different people except us white guys. And we really just want to learn about everything and see what the hell's going on out there. So I'm sorry.
I know it all too damn well. Exactly how privilege blinded me to what other people were going through until I threw it away.
Yeah. That's not the truth. So they've really not solved the problem. They've just kind of sugarcoated it a little bit to make the language sound a little better as well, which is just even more awful. So
I tell you, it won't stop people from acting the way that the law would have emboldened them to. They're still going to be shitheads and be like, "Get off my lawn, you gay!" They're going to do that.
And they're going to
it's getting to that point.
Those people forward and claim they're being indecent, and it's going to be the burden of proof.
Well, I saw them walking in the street, and I tell you, that one feller, he touched the other gentleman's butt, and I just was so scared for my little daughter. That's what's going to happen. I'm sorry I used a southern accent. I apologize, because that is
it's the height Tennessee. Of you're valid.
It's that,
I know, but
kind of a valid on this one. So we're good. All right. So in other news, Pink has defied
this is awesome.
Book ban laws and decided to pretty much say fuck you, and I'm gonna do it anyways. So I found a video, actually, Tennessee Brando, who does a lot of stuff for the Meidas Touch Network, and a friend that I'd like to get on the show eventually.
Hell yeah.
I
won't do the
video about it. So no, he'll go out. He explains, I think everything he explains, just explains it perfectly. So let me go ahead and play this video.
Guy speaks the truth.
He does.
Away 2,000 books at her Florida concerts. She has paired up with PEN America and a Florida bookseller by the name of Book of Books, and they're giving away 2,000 books that have been on the ban list. This is all in response to Ron DeSantis and his whole anti-woke agenda that he's got going on down in Florida. He has declared war on the gay and trans community and anybody that doesn't look or sound like him. And so Pink is responding by giving away 2,000 banned books, and I think it's awesome. I applaud her for it. She said this in a comment. She said, "Books have held a special joy for me from the time I was a child, and that's why I'm unwilling to stand by and watch while books are banned by schools. It's especially hateful to see authorities take aim at books about race and racism and against LGBTQ authors and those of color. We have made so many strides toward equality in this country, and no one should want to see this progress reversed. This is why I'm supporting PEN America in its work and why I agree with them. No more banned books."
Perfect.
To say to Pink, in the words of your own song, that's fucking perfect to me.
Right. Yeah, that is absolutely fantastic.
This is what celebrities should be doing. This is what, if you have the platform, the power, the following, I don't want to say you have an obligation because I can't tell someone what they must do with their time. But man, if you have the ability, please Please use your platform.
Now,
And
see,
you gotta love.
Yeah, I was gonna say I get why a lot of celebrities don't get involved in politics because I mean it's so divisive right now, and obviously
it could kill a career.
The fan base, right? You could actually kill your career if you don't do it properly. But I think people like Pink and Taylor Swift, who I have a video of hers coming up, are doing the right thing finally. So some of the books that she's giving away, so you have some titles here: "Beloved" by Toni Morrison, "The Family Book" by Todd Parr, "The Hill We Climb" by Amanda Gorman, "Girls Who Code." I still don't get this one. "Girls Who Code."
You know,
I don't want
we
to
gotta
butcher
stop
that
those
name if
girls
I
from
say it
getting
wrong.
into tech.
Yeah, we got to keep them away
God
from
forbid.
Steam. You know, it's funny. The Amanda Gorman one specifically is just the poem that she read at the inauguration. Now, I remember this distinctly because I ordered the first thing that was available of hers was just the poem, and I bought it. And then a book came out later of her other poems, and I bought that too. But they're talking specifically just about an inauguration speech, which in that speech, she mentioned struggles and social ills. And that is so offensive to these people that they literally had to ban a presidential inauguration speech. Now, Beloved, I have a long history with that book because when I was in high school and we read it, it had to be high school. We probably would not have read that in middle school, but it was definitely high school. It had to be. I was a stupid kid back then. I didn't understand what we were reading. I didn't understand the social impact. Maybe in some ways because they don't actually teach you about slavery at all. They just go, it happened, it sucked, and then we fought a war for it. Great, let's gloss over that. But
right,
growing up now, realizing the importance of that book, again, these people that are banning things don't understand. A book like that is not going to be read by anyone that isn't in high school. If your kid in high school isn't mentally fit to learn about the suffering of human beings, what do you think school is for? Just learning math? No, that's not. It's to create human beings that have a context for history and understand how to be better people. And a book like Beloved is shockingly indelible in its vision of how horrible slavery was. And if you don't imprint that onto impressionable young people, not kids, they are kids, but impressionable young people ready to learn the hard topics. If you're not ready to make sure they understand the horrors of slavery, then you either don't care, don't understand it, or you're like, maybe we should do that again. I don't know, but those are the only options because there's no reason to not teach about it.
And based on the statements of some of the politicians in the Republican Party, no, they really just want it back.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be
good for business.
They're already talking about camps and mass deportations, which we'll get into here soon. But let me play the Taylor Swift video.
We have de facto slavery already anyways with the prisons paying like a cent to inmates.
That's true.
Exactly.
And they make a lot more shit than people realize.
You're absolutely right there.
Prison so we can make them work for nothing. Oh, look, it's de facto slavery.
That's weird.
That's why they don't want you to know about credit.
What is the highest population in the American prison system?
Oh, wait.
Yeah, I forget. But that's why they don't want you to know about critical race theory because it teaches you about all the ins and outs of
which they don't teach in schools anyway.
Right, which they don't teach in college level stuff.
Not till college law classes.
All right, so back to get on topic here. Taylor Swift came out a while ago. This was a while back, or even maybe 2 years ago, or a year ago, or something like that. Where she kind of just took a stand, said enough's enough, and she had to get involved in politics. She's been one of the most influential people in as far as getting people to register to vote.
Oh yeah.
And this, I think, and people were trying to talk her out of it, but she's like, no, enough's enough. So
yeah, but
anyone who thinks she's stupid,
and also back in the presidential election, I was in such a horrendous place that I wasn't gonna pop my head out of the sand for anything.
Would you? I mean, does Bob Hope do it? Does Bing Crosby do it? Does Mick Jagger do it?
Hell, come on.
No, what I'm saying ridiculous.
Bob Hope's like, shut up.
These aren't your dad's celebrities, and these aren't your dad's Republicans.
Imagine if
not even the United States citizens.
We've got this idea that we could halve the number of people that come to you next tour.
And the other thing, just from a security
so you think
Taylor Swift
she doesn't care about how
I don't care if they write that.
When she did this, like it hurt her numbers.
I'm sad that I didn't 2 years ago, but I can't change that.
Not at all.
I'm saying right now that this is something that I know is right, and you guys, I need to be on the right side of history. And if he doesn't win, then at least I tried.
See, and she's been.
According to the Republicans, those teeny boppers, Pink and Taylor Swift, need to get out of politics and get back to music. Like Pink has ever not been political and very open about those stances. There's a reason I didn't like her for years and why I like her so much.
That's funny. But Taylor Swift is someone who's to go to the Taylor concept. She is telling you right there, I get what it was like to be so afraid to do anything, to know what to say. And she's looking around and she's like, but if I just use my voice, I can influence the right side of history. Think of how many Republican or people on the right, a Joe Rogan, a Dana White, and I know I'm sticking with the UFC right now, but there's plenty of others. You can go with the actors. You can go with James Woods, John Voight, Kid Rock. I don't want to call him a musician, but Kid Rock. The list goes on. Roseanne Barr, who used to spit on the flag and grab her crotch at baseball games, but now they love her because she's like, I hate the liberals. But you have all these people on the right influencing votes, influencing people, influencing adults and kids. But then when you have someone on the left doing it, whoa, shut up. Now, as a funny aside to that, my wife and I were looking at something on Instagram, and someone of hers said something about shut up, Tom Morello, go stick to your music. These are the people that don't understand that rage against you are the machine. You were the machine that they were raging against. The guy also has a degree in political science. This is serious. Tom Morello has a degree in political science, so he's already more qualified to talk about any of this than us or anyone who's watching us.
Exactly.
So I got to tell you, when celebrities use their power for evil, everyone's okay with it because we're just Americans. But when people use the power for good to stop fascism, oh, they're liberal, socialist, communists. We got to stop it.
Speaking of fascism,
she's getting people's vote.
Exactly. Speaking of fascism, our next guy, this guy I'm going to explode on probably is Mike Davis, who Donald Trump wants to make Attorney General. Not even a joke. So who is Mike Davis? Founder of the Article 3 Project, former chief counsel for nomination as Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley, founder and president of Article 3 Project, defends constitutionalist judges and the rule of law, so on, so forth.
He is also a member of the Federalist Society.
That's right. Yeah. So he is just a giant piece of shit. So he is the one that is going to go after pretty much everybody. And the guy's a psycho. We actually have him on video saying some pretty horrific things, like putting kids in cages and how it's going to be glorious. But this is the type of stuff that Donald Trump was to put into play.
Literally said that.
Let me play this video. Let me play the video where you can kind of unpack this.
In the 3 years I've been on air here at MSNBC, I've talked a lot about the things Donald Trump has said and done and been credibly accused of doing. So much that it often all just runs together and we sometimes end up losing a sense of just how bad it all is. I mean, it's not just shocking, is it, when everything he says and does always feels shockingly bad? It's hard to get shocked. So how much worse can it get? Well, for the answer to that, don't just listen to Trump right now. Listen also to the people Trump might hire to execute his second-term agenda. People like this guy.
We're going to fire a lot of people in the executive branch and the deep state. We're going to indict Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and James Biden and every other scumball, sleazeball Biden. We're going to deport a lot of people, 10 million people and growing, anchor babies, their parents, their grandparents.
You're going to deport 10 million people.
It's going to be glorious. We're going to detain a lot of people in the
kids in cages.
Gulag and Gitmo. I'm going to recommend a lot.
Gulags.
Every January 6th defendants.
These are sick people.
Jesus Christ, it gets worse and worse the more he talks. So he's going to. All right, so we can say.
I just made another connection that's terrifying about this guy as Attorney General. The voting rights changes that the 8th Circuit Court recently did in the Midwest. They are trying to make it so that the only person who can bring action for gerrymandered maps is the Attorney General.
Oh, gee, like it's not all part of the one plan.
So the parts that bother me, I mean, obviously, other than the horrific things that he's already said, but the unconstitutional, just how bad this is, how much they just want to go against it and shred it completely. He's gonna, they're just gonna. He said anchor baby, grandparents. He's talking about going after entire families. Like my kids are part Mexican. Are you gonna go after my kids too? Because they just happen to be part Mexican, or it's like they're a cutoff, or are you just going to go all fascist and start collecting
take a blood test.
Right. You know what I mean? Are you just going to go for blonde hair, blue-eyed white guys? Is that the plan? Are you going full Aryan nation on the country? My mom's an immigrant. I might be white, but my mom's an immigrant too. Are you going to take her out of the fucking country too?
Yeah, how many generations back?
She's 80 years old. Right. She's 80 years old. I'm the son of an immigrant. Does that mean you're going to take me out of here? I mean, I'm a leftist liberal, whatever they want to call us.
Well, you're a fascist or a Marxist and a communist, clearly. So
that's right.
You're going to be one of the ones sent to those gulags right after they came after me first, because I'm already demographic targeted.
Well, you guys are all woke. I'm Republican.
The words are coming out of his mouth. They're telling us what they're going to do. They're flat out telling us what they're going to do. They're going to deport. They're going to fire everybody. Trump is currently going through and hiring, or not, he isn't doing it, but Project 2025 is doing it. That's part of their playbook of hiring 40,000 Trump loyalists that'll do anything that Trump tells them to do. Basically, the one qualification that you have to have is, do you kiss Trump's asshole constantly? You know what I mean? That's like the only qualification you need to be, okay, you're good. Yeah, that's it. I am so sick and tired of watching this play out. Like, we've been talking about Project 2025, and I know I harp on it, but goddamn, this is terrifying to me.
What scares me is the complete lack of understanding of how any country works, any society works. And what I mean is, you're not logistically going to export. That's what it is. 10 million people. Okay. And I'll tell you why. There is no infrastructure civilian in this country that can handle that. So it would be a military operation. The military, which would mean you are going to deploy the military in 50 states to round up people that you arbitrarily decide do not belong here, whatever that metric is. And then you are going to forcibly remove them. A large portion of them are going to resist, and you're going to shoot them and their families in the street. And then the rest of the people you're going to take and put where? Because 10 million people didn't come from Mexico. Okay.
No.
So you have to figure out where you're going to put them. Then you're going to ignore what's going on in Florida, how every field in Florida is rotting. Every roof in Florida in any construction area is not complete. Because the businesses that build and function and keep this country going are the ones that are illegally employing people. Now, you want to come here? Great, fine, whatever. If there's problems with it, we'll deal with that. But when you employ those people, the question is, who's going to do that work? So if you now take 10 million people out of the country and out of the economy, you're now going to shut down every aspect of our country. So who's going to fill that? Because you don't have 10 million extra people. So the 10 million people that you're going to have to replace them with are coming from where? What skills do they have? Do they know anything about the job? Do they live in the... So you're going to forcibly... If you take 10 million people out of the South, because by the way, the largest percentage of illegal immigrants is currently working in the southern states. So you're going to forcibly be like, well, for the good of the nation, for the good of the Reich, we got to relocate families, and now you're farmers. Guess what? You're the communists now.
They've already said how they want to replace that missing labor. And we've already talked about it tonight.
Oh, slaves, yay!
Yeah.
Because there's no logic behind it. So when a guy
is children, they love child labor.
Oh, they'll just keep child labor. So
you know
what's the logic? Obviously, there's no logic behind it because all of this is driven by hate. But at least I thought that there was some modicum of like thinking through this process. But if you're just going to deport 10 million people and put kids in cages and be all happy at how glorious this is, how are you going to make the country function after that?
Well,
considering the fact that so many people are going to fight. If you start to try and deport 10 million people, all of those liberals that you think don't have guns that do, and also aren't 10,000 cheeseburgers in, are going to kill you all and stop you from taking their neighbors, their family, their friends, their teachers. Come on.
Yeah, it will there will be bloodshed if that happens. So let's make sure it doesn't. The only way, obviously, is to vote. But let's go through. I mean, there's other things too, like not just the deportations. They want to criminalize the LGBTQ community completely. So there's a lot of other stuff. But yeah, just so we can review here, we're going to deport a lot of people, 10 million people and growing, anchor babies, their parents, their grandparents. We're going to put kids in cages. It's going to be glorious. We're going to detain a lot of people in the DC gulag. And
what is the DC gulag? So clearly they're planning on making DC a giant open air prison.
Well, wait. We're talking raids. We're talking a long time. We don't have prisons set up for that around here.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we're talking illegal raids. We're talking, breaking into. I mean, forget your rights, your constitutional rights.
They're not going to follow laws.
No longer exist. No, there will be no law, or they will rewrite the law
process, and they don't plan on running this country.
There will not be any due process. Took the words right out of my mouth. There will not be a single bit of due process.
Just look at the House right now. They don't plan to run the country. They plan to control the country.
Exactly.
That's it. They don't care how good the country is, just that they have permanent control. Just like most dictatorships, it ceases being about the people or the well-being of the country or how it's run, and it just becomes about how they can maintain power and create a culture of fear to control the citizenry. That is every dictatorship, and we already know how much Trump loves his North Korean dictators.
Vladimir Putin.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll be getting into that for sure.
We would become Russia with a more effective military, which is a terrifying thought.
Yeah,
right, with a maniac with a finger on the button. You know what I mean? Like, this is the guy you want to give nuclear codes to, and we're going to show some really good videos of Trump being absolutely ridiculous.
Slight aside, but Russia has successfully lost their way through the Ukrainian war to the point that now all of the models of what would happen if there was a region-wide conflict, it used to be assumed if NATO took on Russia, it was a clear win for Russia every single time, even when their scenarios and models included things stacked against Russia. Now, there is not a single model in which Russia even relates as a near peer in a conflict between them and NATO, not even involving the United States in the new strategic models.
That's comforting.
Let's not follow that model, please.
Some good news. I like that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll take that.
That's inspiring. I like that.
I was listening to that one the other day and laughing.
Wait a minute. Good news?
No,
I know, right? Good news. You don't hear that very often.
Take the wins where we can.
Yeah. All right. I will. What do we got?
It just blows me away that we're talking about this. Like, this is America. We're not talking about another country or we're talking about fascism wide open in America. They're telling us exactly what they're going to do. They're telling us their plans. And I think people need to take them seriously, because I forget who said it. It might have been The Economist, that this time around, like last time, Donald Trump was restrained, not by much, but luckily there was a few key people in the right places that prevented him from declaring martial law and suspending the Constitution. So this time around, he apparently learned from his mistakes.
His handlers
is putting some of the most awful people around him that are just going to completely shred every fabric of what we have come to call, the United States. It will cease to exist as a country.
I mean, the same thing as I was kind of getting to earlier with J.K. Rowling. She keeps having a platform because people keep paying attention to her books, and she sees the money and the attention she keeps getting as justification for her views, and therefore a mandate for her to continue them and write a book under a pseudonym that is pushing the narrative of trans people murdering in bathrooms because it's fake, so make it up. You didn't know that one? Yeah, that's
no.
Yeah, totally a mystery novel where she gives away all the cards right away. Anyways, super side. But for Trump, it completely is if I'm reelected, it's a mandate to move forward with all of my most radical policies, because clearly
you're right. He's basically he's a cross. No, he's like somewhere caught between dog and child, where he's only positive reinforcement. He doesn't understand anything else. He doesn't even understand negative reinforcement. He only understands I did this and I got a cheer. I'm going to keep doing it.
Since we're talking about him, he's the man of the hour, so let's start talking about Donald Trump. And for real.
He's the turd of the hour.
All right, so let's play this. All right, so I'm going to try and play this
what I think
in my head in
Third
sequence here.
might be
So
the
first he quotes Hitler, or starts quoting Hitler on Veterans Day, was it?
Yep.
Then it goes on some kind of crazy rant on Thanksgiving where he attacks everybody under the sun.
Yep.
Then he gives a speech where he talks about golden showers.
Yep.
Then the doctor's note that he posts on Truth Social saying specifically that I have it here. I'll show it in a minute. That his mental acuity is just fine. It's exceptional. It's
on par with the cabbage.
Yeah, it just gets worse and worse and worse. So let's start with this video and go from there.
He's such an ass.
I just tell you, I'm really honored. This is a great turnout. This is a beautiful section. They said you broke the all-time record in this building, so that's pretty good.
All-time record in high school.
He was with 4 hookers. You think that was good that night to go up and tell my wife, it's not true, darling. I love you very much. Actually, that one she didn't believe because she said he's a germaphobe. He's not into that, you know? He's not into golden showers, as they say they call them.
He says it too. That's the worst
I don't like
part.
that idea. No, I didn't. I thought that would be a big problem. I was going to have a rough night, but that one she was very good on. She said, no.
We got to protect our kids.
And they're proud, they're clapping, they're going crazy. I can't do it, Mom. I can't. Mom, you can do it, baby. I love you so much.
He loves this bit for some reason.
What is it?
And it's bad news, bad
I
things.
don't want to look at it anymore.
It's such a pathetic.
What the hell was that?
Leading candidate for the Republican Party, right there. There you go. So proud. I bet you guys are.
Let's put the spastic gyrations and creepy moaning aside. Let's just put that aside.
Not everybody loves Trump, though, as much as everybody thinks, because he went to South Carolina recently to receive boos when he got out of his vehicle. Loud boos.
Yep.
And on the way, they had some nice signs made up for him. You lost. You're guilty. Welcome to Columbia, Donald. I just love whoever posted whoever put these up. And that's not the only one. There's
radical leftist.
Yeah,
that's right.
This is why you don't. This is why you don't let women code and you don't teach girls how to code.
Oh my God, that's great. So, so that was the golden shower speech, and then let me go ahead and play his.
We're coming all the way back to the P tapes here.
Oh, the P tapes. Which, by the way, that speech was in a sparsely occupied high school gymnasium that he was talking about.
He bragged about how he broke the record for the audience there, which apparently
isn't even real anyway.
Apparently, high schools never had a basketball game.
Yeah,
I know, right? I know. So here's
oh man,
honor of our great veterans on Veterans Day. We pledge to you that we will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs.
I'm going to use
that
words
live like vermin within the confines of our country, that lie and steal and cheat on elections and will do anything possible. They'll do anything.
Now, there is something in here he says that I actually agree with.
America and to destroy the American dream. The real threat is not from the radical right. The real threat is from the radical left. And it's growing every day, every single day. The threat from outside forces is far less sinister, dangerous, and grave than the threat from within.
Yes,
I agree with that last bit.
But it's
it's because of Donald Trump. Right, exactly.
So close to the point. Just came at it completely from the wrong side.
They're always so close to it's not like seeing the light, but they're always so close to just it's right there.
And actually,
he's even saying it for you.
They just say the opposite side of things out loud, and nobody decides to actually listen. The vermin. That
everything
is
out of his mouth is a lie.
Out of the fascist playbook. Dehumanize the other side. So when you start jailing them and pushing them out of society,
no one cares.
Nobody cares anymore because they were never human to begin with. That is how you end up with concentration camps.
Let me tell you, the comment section on my Instagram has been ridiculous with MAGA people, and my God, half of them were, he can't say the word vermin. The word vermin is bad. No, you uneducated clown. The word vermin in context of how he's using it and the speech he's giving is bad.
Almost verbatim.
If you want to try and play semantics, you're gonna lose because you don't even know what that word means. So don't try and employ it. Okay.
Right.
My God, these people are stupid and they get away with it. And they perpetuate it because their followers have a first-grade education. They don't understand language. They don't understand concepts. They don't understand history. And a Donald Trump who keeps a copy of Mein Kampf by his nightstand, I'm actually impressed that the guy can read. Okay, I truly am. I'm impressed even more that he can remember things and then use it in his speeches. But he's using language that is not just fascistic; it is straight out of Nazi Germany.
One of his ex-wives once claimed that he slept with a book of Hitler speeches next to his bed. That is an actual thing. I did not make that up.
Historians review Hitler's speeches to, again, understand how rhetoric and disinformation can cause a society become a fascist stronghold. And what they've been telling us for, I don't know, 6 years now is he's doing it, it's happening. And now we're seeing it happening, and still everyone's like, vermin, that's not a bad word. You're done.
Right.
Shut up.
So after all of this, after all this craziness and talking about golden showers in a high school gymnasium and posting maniac stuff on Truth Social, he got a note from his doctor. We couldn't get this very clear, but I cut this right from.
I think because it's such nonsense, it was like, no, we're not letting you show this.
Now, I'm going to read the Senate
he was in high school, so you need a doctor's note if you're sick. Or
right.
That's true.
I call this the note from mommy. I'm going to read the center paragraph, and I'm going to try not to die laughing when I do it because it is funny. Okay, I am pleased to report that President Trump's overall health is excellent. His physical exams were well within normal range, and his cognitive exams were exceptional.
Yeah, but the problem is
exceptional for what?
A rectal thermometer doesn't really check for that.
In addition, his most recent extensive laboratory analysis remains well within normal limits. Like he's perfect. And with favorable. Now, look at the bottom paragraph, though. Cardiovascular studies. Like, when did he get all of these cancer screenings? Come on.
Yeah,
dude.
like that would be news if he ever went to a doctor. If he ever went to
that
any
would be
doctor's
headline
office,
news. Like, what's wrong with Donald Trump?
Yep.
Why is he getting all these tests done? This letter is such bullshit.
The man is followed everywhere he goes.
If you're great, if you're truly great, you don't go around telling people you're great. If you're wealthy and rich, you typically don't go running around telling people you're wealthy and rich. If you're not crazy, you don't get a note from the doctor saying you're not crazy. Like if somebody comes up to you on the street and be like, man, you're bipolar as hell. You don't go run to your doctor and say, look, somebody said I was bipolar. I need you to get me a note that says it isn't that way so I can show it to them. And then they'll believe me. Like, this is the funniest shit I've ever seen anybody do. Like, it's such a cop-out.
Again, he's got to be careful because now he has this note and that doctor's name is on the line. So if it ever comes to it, that doctor is going to have to testify one or two things. He stands by his findings or he was lying. And if he's standing by his findings, guess who can't use an insanity defense or dementia defense? So when it comes down to it, these people, Donald Trump and his team, are not even worried about having to defend him because they know they can't defend him. And all they have in their playbook, in their hopes, is that they win the election because nothing is going to save him because that doctor did not actually do any tests. That's it. It didn't.
And if you look at the note, the test according to the date was November 20th on the letter, but the exam itself was actually on September 13th.
So we could actually technically go get his travel logs from the Secret Service and see if he went to the doctor that day.
Yeah. So
that's what Jack Smith is. Way smarter than me. Way smarter than I
find that out. Is Donald Trump really sick? Or according to his doctor, he's like the most healthiest the smartest.
Well, this is the same guy.
Than I am.
The same guy that when he got rushed off when he had COVID, and the doctor that they found, I don't know, sucking at the teat of hell, was like, "Oh yeah, I'll say that Donald Trump's perfectly healthy," and then Donald Trump rips off his mask triumphantly.
Do you want to know where I call bullshit on the letter? And I just caught this. Maybe I'm being over analytical, but why would if you look on right above the highlighted spot, I am pleased to report that President Trump. Why
he's not the president?
Would his doctor call him President Trump when he's
his
not
doctor would not call him that. His doctor would call him Donald J. Trump.
Right, unless his doctor's just a sycophant buddy of his.
Well, he's not going to go to someone
former President Trump.
So
that's
I caught that on the letter.
You could call him former President Trump,
ex-President Trump, Donald J. Trump, my patient, Mr. Trump, anything. But why would the doctor? That's to me, it's unprofessional.
Well, the only thing I could say is, as everything that touches that man, he puts his stamp on it, and he probably went, "Make sure you call me that," or one of his handlers went, "Make sure you put that in there." He likes to see that.
Yeah. So all right. The Economist recently, and The Economist is not a political magazine, but they came out with a pretty impressive, powerful statement about Donald Trump recently, saying he's actually the greatest threat to the world in 2024, not just our country.
The former president, quote, the biggest danger to the world in 2024. According to the influential London-based magazine, quote, a second Trump term would be a watershed in a way the first was not. Victory would confirm his most destructive instincts about power.
You said that, Tammy.
His plans would encounter less resistance.
Also encounter less
his plans and those of his enablers are being talked about openly. There was the bombshell report from the New York Times that revealed that Trump wants to use the Justice Department to exact revenge on his political adversaries. The New York Times also reported on plans for an extreme immigration crackdown that would include, quote, sweeping raids, giant camps, and mass deportations.
And we heard
according to a new
potential AG say that.
Trump allies are pre-screening the ideologies of thousands of potential Trump
employees. That's Project 2025 right there.
Power at every level of the U.S. government.
Pre-screening ideologies. Pre-screening ideologies is one of the most evil concepts. That is just not a cool set of words.
Terrifying, isn't it?
That is not okay. That is not okay. No. Which ideologies? His? Or because the other thing is, I'm going to say it again. I've said this many times. No matter how many people use Donald Trump, because let's face it, the religious right is using Donald Trump. Donald Trump doesn't even know which end of the Bible you open first. Okay, he's a self-absorbed. He's a self-absorbed narcissist moron. So he's not like, oh yeah, Jesus, and we got to have that. He doesn't even know how to spell Jesus. So what the problem is you cannot control Donald Trump. His lawyers are showing us that in New York, every day that he goes in and gets told to shut up because he's acting like a child. So we are, and I can't wait to see how bad he acts during criminal trials. But what we're seeing is that he's uncontrollable. So when it comes to him having power and him screening for ideologies, it's not going to be, well, we, Mr. President, think you should look for these people. He's going to go, no, get rid of them all. Kill them all. He's going to be more extreme in his action because he cares so little for anybody. He cares about no one but himself. At least the crazy religious ones care about their own people. I guess that's a thing.
If you look at it with the international situations we have, he would be doing everything based on anything the right is saying that would allow China a greater degree of control in
100%.
The Middle East than they already even have. They're already the major trading partner of Iran, which is part of why we should have brought them out as we were working on doing, so that the West could actually have some influence there. Whoops, thanks Trump, ruined that. And now, like, the way you're talking about doing this from the Republican side, it would completely lose our influence that we have, what little we have over there, and most of our goodwill for the region. And we already know what he's doing in our country currently just through his mouthpieces in the House. We just got downgraded on our credit. as the United States. They downgraded our credit rating because they don't trust in the international lending community and nations lending to nations that we're going to be able to pay our shit because we can't pass a goddamn budget. Perfectly reasonable assumption at this point.
Yeah.
Can't get a budget passed.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yep.
Well, nothing has functioned properly since. Yeah, nothing has functioned properly since the last midterm election. Nothing's going to function properly until the next election, and hopefully after that, we don't have to deal with this much.
If we continue to have elections,
if we can actually get seats to be properly drawn as well, because
that's true.
Voting Rights Act changes. Oh boy, I have a book I could write on that.
I mean, they're trying to destroy things from the inside right now.
We're going to do I guess I'll call it a special episode, but an episode where we focus on the voting rights, because just like and I got to give it to Jeremy, he crafted a hell of an episode today because it all dovetailed into a perfect view of what each part of the plan is at every level. But it can't happen without voting. And I know that sounds counterintuitive because these people are trying to destroy voting, but you got to get over the hump. You got to get most of the people on board and have the appearance of it being the will of the people. That's the scary part of any successful fascist regime. All right. Nazi Germany became Nazi Germany because Adolf Hitler convinced everyone of these set of things, and they all voted him in. Okay. This was a guy that tried to foment a coup and lost it. And then he still convinced the entire population, or enough of them, to vote him into power.
Sound familiar? Yeah.
It's literally Donald Trump. So again, no hyperbole. This is what we're facing. Yeah. So I want to point out that at some point we're going to do one on voting rights, because what's been happening is terrifying.
Has proven that he doesn't know shit about shit. He doesn't know anything about anything. The guy's a crook. He's a fraud. And he just wants to be in power. He just wants to be able to be a big old baby and do whatever he wants to do, and nobody's going to question him. Wah, wah, wah. Such a victim right now.
Anyone thinks their vote doesn't matter. There were 3 elections recently that were decided by one vote.
It literally happened. Yep.
So
we're talking, in a couple of them, there's small races, a few hundred people on each side, like 416 to 417. But some of them were in the thousands of votes on both sides, decided by one. Don't be that one person who stayed home and was the reason that a Republican candidate got in, because there's not a single place in the United States where a Democrat candidate cannot win if everyone who is registered showed up. There are more registered Democrats. That's also why we will never see Election Day as a national holiday as long as Republicans have the ability to stop it. It's why there would be very limited polling times, to where if you're working, you only have about 2 hours to get to the polls. Why we're going to always see every impediment put in the way of the young working person who has to be at work just to barely make their bills, who can't take off a couple hours. Those are the people that the Democrats need to show up, and the Republicans are putting every possible barrier in the way, shutting down convenient polling places, making there be lines for hours, shipping insufficient numbers of ballots to places.
I can't believe that just happened. That was a couple of weeks ago, and that actually happened.
Happened in 2020 also.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah, this is not the first time they've pulled that. And it's all done in like, oh, it's reasonable. No, it's blatant suppression to keep away the people that you want, let alone the fact that they're cracking up voting blocks to diminish the impact of them in black districts. Again, we get into the voting rights one. I will be able to talk about how in the Fifth Circuit Court, they upheld it in several places. And that's ultra liberal district with Mississippi, Texas, and Louisiana. And weirdly, I didn't know that this actually showed up in our judicial system, but in my research found out the Fifth Circuit also rules on cases from the Canal Zone in Panama.
Look,
whatever.
Look, there's a lot of goofy stuff, and the problem is it's been kept goofy for a reason.
All right. That's enough. That's all we got for today. I appreciate you closing us out there, Tammy. And we will, of course, have you again on the show. So before we go, though, I am going to play just a classic video that has just been making its way back around YouTube, and it just gives me the giggles. So I'm going to let us off on some.
An operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead. At my direction, the United States launched a targeted operation against that compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan.
They did a lot of shooting, and they did a lot of blasting, even not going through the front door. You know, you think you go through the door. If you're a normal person, you say, knock, knock, may I come in?
After a firefight, they killed Osama bin Laden and took custody of his body.
Totally what police
He died
do
like
when
a
they show
dog.
up with the SWAT
His death does not mark the end of our effort.
A beautiful dog. A talented dog.
We give thanks to the countless intelligence and counterterrorism professionals who've worked tirelessly to achieve this outcome.
And I don't get any credit for this, but that's okay. I never do.
Thank you.
I never do.
May God bless you.
Why
May
would
God
somebody
bless
give you
the
credit?
United
You
States of
already
America.
take all
And
of
I'm
it
writing
for
a book.
yourself every chance
I
you
think I
get.
wrote 12 books. All did very well.
Yeah, my ass. You haven't wrote a single book in your life, dipshit. All right, that's all the time we have for today. But I wanted to leave off on a little bit of a lighter note, since this was kind of a serious show. I appreciate everybody for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Got some big stuff in the works that we will be sharing with you soon. And yeah, other than that, we will just, we'll talk to you soon. Have a good night.
Night.